This is the place that you can break through. You can clear out through the fog and discover how to get started in real estate faster than ever expected. Today, we have a very special guest. Sarah is going to share with you how she had some hurdles and challenges and breakthroughs through on her big, well, it was a nice successful deal. But Sarah, thanks so much for joining us today. Good to have you.
Thanks.
All right. Here. So, Sarah, we always like to go a little bit back in time in history. Let's start off when you were born. And no, I'm kidding. Let's start back when you first got maybe started in real estate. Just give us a little background about your real estate investing history.
Well, let's see. I probably closed my first real estate ever. Well, it was a few years back, at least 7 years or something. So I had just very part-time. I just did a little bit of wholesale deals. I had another full-time career and I was having kids at the same time. So I'd sort of do some deals, get some consistency, and then have a kid and drop out for 3 years and then come back,
Yeah.
Because
maternity leave, a 3-year maternity.
That's a 3-year maternity leave. That's what it is.
Well, that was maternity leave from, the second job. So you have the first job and then the second job. And then I could run one job and have a kid, but I'd start the second business when the next one could at least walk, go to the bathroom by themselves. Then I'm like, okay, now I can run a second business.
Right. Wow. So when you first, after you started closing your first few deals, what was that like for you? What was it like going from zero, no deals, to closing maybe your first deal?
Well, it was great. I was a nervous wreck the first time. I was just so nervous about how everything was going to turn out, but it was fine. I actually got to be friends with a lot of people in the RIA. And I did a bunch of marketing and kind of partnered up with another wholesaler who had some more experience. So I think I got the buyer and he got the seller. Or no, I got the seller, right? I put the property under contract.
Yeah.
And then he had a buyer. And so it was good. It was a good way to get started. For me, and then we did multiple deals together.
Nice.
And then I had some other investors I did a lot of JVs when I got started. I would get one part of the contract or the other part, bring in a buyer. That seemed to, I don't know.
You're doing Mike style. Mike loves to JV.
Yeah.
JVs are good. Matter of fact, I just talked to a person today. They're just getting started. They wanted a JV. They may have a buyer. It's similar to your story. They're just getting started. And
Mike, I'm gonna give you a new name, Mike JV McKenzie.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
It was helpful at first because it was easy meeting a lot of people in the RIA and kind of becoming friends with people and getting started, but it was a lot of different pieces to pull together at the same time when everything is new. So having a buyer and then knowing that I've got other wholesalers that are trustworthy and that want to have a good relationship, that for me, at least, that helped me get started. It, got me up and going because I only kind of had to learn all the technical, mechanical parts of one part of the deal, or, of one side, and could kind of coast on the other. So I did a bunch of deals that way when I kind of first got started, as I was doing this on and off. Every 6 months or so, I'd show up, do some real estate deals, disappear again, show up again, do some real estate deals.
And more recently, you started doing real estate more full time. Tell us about that. Tell us about more your recent history going into, instead of on and off, you went full time.
Yeah. So, I started working with you guys back in November of 2019 on the land stuff, very part-time. And I was still working my other business. And then I had my first 2 deals come through the same weekend that the COVID shutdown started and closed everything off. And that was good timing because it wiped out my business. So I closed 2 deals with land back to back the same week that everything shut down, and that totally wiped out my other business.
Wow.
So then it was like, well, sink or swim. I guess I'm doing this. Well, we didn't expect, I guess, everything to get wiped out as bad as it did at first. You know, they were like, oh, what was it supposed to be, 2 weeks to flatten the curve?
Yeah,
Isn't that what they said?
2 weeks, 2 months.
And like, we're going to wipe out your entire economic future. Small business people, goodbye.
Right.
So I wiped out my business, but it was good for me. Actually, it was really good. I mean, I had some savings and I had closed those deals, and by then I kind of knew what I was doing. And so I've done multiple deals with land since then, and none of them JVs. Did all of them buyers and sellers.
Nice.
So yeah. There we go.
Nice. All right. And you've been working, just want to touch on this a bit. You've been working with Mike and in our group for quite some time. What would you say has been your favorite part about that? Because, you know, some people start this business completely like brand new and alone, like with nobody, no support system. Mm-hmm. So what's been your favorite part about being in the group?
Man, I love the group. Favorite part or what's been the most actual productive? Favorite part is probably joking around saying stupid stuff all the time. It's just fun. I mean, that's fun. So as far as just, you know, what takes like a job and makes the work environment enjoyable to be around, it's a good group of people. Practically speaking, what's been the most effective with the work? Undoubtedly, there's a number of things that have been extremely helpful and important for me as far as the group. One, I think there's always somebody closing a deal or somebody getting stuff under contract, which I think is extremely helpful when you're brand new, because there's always this feeling like, is this thing going to work? Does it really work? Can I do it? Yeah. And just being in a constant environment where somebody's doing something, definitely, makes you feel like, this does work. It does work on the down days. Then when it's my up day and I'm the one that's closing, then it's like, yay, I have somebody to brag about, put stupid gifts on our Facebook page, and just make jokes and like, somebody who knows what's going on and cares, because most of the people in my life don't know. I mean, you can say you have a closing and people care, but like, everybody in the group knows, we're all in the trenches together. And so it's fun, and it's fun encouraging other people and all that. But then the practical help all the time, people are always sharing and practical things, whether it's referrals for stuff or just, hey, I had a closing go this way or that way, or my seller or buyer said this, anybody got any suggestions? So, I found the vast majority of the learning doesn't happen when you get any initial like lesson or textbook or whatever course that you buy. That's 10% of it. 90% of it happens when you're actually encountering deals and some unknown scenario.
So true.
Or even if it's known, sometimes for me, I feel all the time like I'm realizing that I did know something, but it's nice to have other people to affirm to me like, yeah, you actually know what you're doing. So yeah, I mean, like 90% of whatever the learning and the growth happens is in action. Yeah. And so having the people there to bounce questions off of is like, you learn so much more. And then it also keeps me in action. If I'm having a down day, someone else is putting out a ton of offers, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's catch up with that person or, whatever. So yeah. I mean, wow. That's it.
Thank you for sharing that. That's I have to say, Mike, that's kind of exactly, she put it in great terms, exactly what we've wanted to see happen, not just with Sarah, but with our entire group.
She did. And Sarah, each person has their own unique personality, so to speak. And Sarah's like the one, like if you talk about something, let's get something to happen. She's an organizer. She's a doer. It's going to happen. We had the little mini meetup, in January, and it was just mentioned. And the next thing, Sarah's got the date. She's got it like laid out, which was nice that I didn't have to do anything but show up. But she's very, take charge. And I've noticed that even in like your business that you're running with, if it's dealing with lawyers, if it's dealing with, buyers or sellers, you have a good magical way, so to speak, no pun intended, but way of handling people and directing them and getting them to do what you need them to do.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that feedback.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, there's not always all sunshine and roses in the business. And that's what I want to transition to here. We want to talk about this deal that has been a blessing and a curse, or a whirlwind or a tornado all at the same time. So let's break down this deal that you had for us. Start from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to help people that are beginning, thinking about whether or not they want to get into coaching, this is like the absolute worst deal to share with people. Except I did make money in the end. So the worst deal would be losing money, but I did actually make money. So, so this is when it was unbelievably it was ridiculous on so many levels, and it was so drug out, and it's a modest paycheck at the end as far as these things go. So I thought many times, I'm so glad this was not my first deal, because I would have been freaking out and stressed out and been like, this career is awful. I'm never, but so anyhow, so now you've all been warned. This was like the nightmare deal. And so what happened about 6 months ago, I got a property under contract with a guy. I'm just reading back through the text messages I've had with him, actually, just thinking about what happened. So I got the property under contract for $6,000. And who's saying these things?
They're ghosts. No, actually, it's that was Michael Fleck said share away, Sarah. Donald says hello. You got some fans cheering you on.
Nathan gets all the messages, huh?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, that's fan. Hi guys. Okay, so we're gonna hear this story again. All right, so about 6 months ago, I got this property under contract for $6,000. And the seller was very difficult to get in touch with. And once he signed the contract, then I was actually working with a realtor who was going to be listing the property. And I kind of have this interesting arrangement with him, but he puts spec house stuff and lists it on the MLS. So we try to sell it as a package deal, or we just sell the land by itself. Depends on how it works out. So it's sort of a thing I'm trying out with him anyhow. So he did all the work. He finally got the spec house information stuff together, and he went to list it. And he said, "Hey, Sarah, there's already a listing. Like, this property is listed as vacant land with a realtor." And so I was like, wait, that can't be right. I have a contract with this guy. So then I have to try to reach out and get in touch. Well, first I called the realtor and I said, hey, I have a contract to purchase this property. I'm trying to buy it right now. And I'm having a hard time getting in touch with the seller, but what's the story? And the realtor laughed and said, yeah, I can never get in touch with this guy. Like, I've got it listed. So he said, if you want to send me your contract, I'll just take it down off the MLS. Obviously, if you've got a real, a valid contract to purchase it. So then I kind of had to figure that out at first, because I didn't know, is there a benefit, pros or cons to just send my contract over to the realtor or what? But, realtors have to dot their I's and cross their T's. So as soon as I thought, well, it's not going to hurt me. So I sent him the contract and he took the listing down. And then the realtor I was working with was able to do our listing. But in the meantime, I have it being marketed as just vacant land on Facebook and Craigslist and all that kind of stuff. And then nothing happened. I didn't have any buyers at all. It was kind of over the winter time and just nothing. And I figured I'm probably just going to run out of time on this contract because I didn't have anyone. I was surprised. I thought it would sell, but, and then literally 10 days before the contract ran out, I had somebody message me and say, yeah, I want to buy it. Here's my offer.
Wow.
And she was a real estate broker. So I knew she was serious. I mean, she'd laid out all the specific details as to why she was going to pay what she was going to pay. And it was really small margins. She was offering me 10 and there's some back taxes and, oh, no, wait. back to when it was listed with a realtor, and I finally got in touch with the seller, and I texted him, and he would not reply to phone calls, but he finally replied to a text message. And I said, you can't list this with a realtor. You have a legal contract to purchase it from me for $6,000. And then he wanted to renegotiate with me via text message.
Okay.
And yeah. And so I handled that. I'm going back over these things. But I have this, where are these? Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was right. I tell him that we have a contract, and he says, well, what's the price? He doesn't even remember what his contract price is with me. And then I tell him what it is, and he says, well, I want to vent for a minute. And he goes on telling me how he paid $52,000, and now the tax value is $23,000. Wow. And the realtor told him they could get him at least 10, and blah, blah, blah. And so I texted back and just said, well, it sounds like you're frustrated. And I left that alone. That's one of my Chris Voss negotiating.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yes.
He says, yes, just sounds like it seems like, and just reflect back their emotions to them. Mm-hmm. So before telling him anything about, well, this is what your property's worth or whatever, I just texted back and I said, sounds like you're frustrated. And I kind of left it like that for 2 minutes, according to my text messages. Okay. And then I tell him, we have a legal contract and I have partners involved, so I need to review this with him. Oh, yeah, he wants me to renegotiate with him. He says, I'm thinking $7,300 is ridiculously fair. If that works for you, I'm ready to roll now. This is after I already have a contract at $6,000. Okay. But I was thinking I could sell it for more. But anyhow, so I get back to him and I more or less say, look, I've talked with my partners, my partners. And, we already have some money invested.
Those are your kids, right? That's your kids, right? Your kids.
That's my kids.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Right.
I discussed with them, do you think that we should take this deal? And this is how funny this guy was, though. He was really crazy. I said, look, I said something. What did I tell him that we'll go ahead and do $7,300 if we can move forward now smoothly with no problems from here on out. And so that was my deal, because I thought we'd have more spread, and I was like, just get them on board and let's not mess around with this. Yeah. He says, I'll go one even better, hun.
Hun. You got a hun in there.
That's when I knew he liked me, though, actually, at that point. I've been like you're like, this is like some blue collar dude that's old enough to be my dad. So at this point, it's like, oh, he thinks I'm nice. I'll make it an even 7, and there'll be no surprises with taxes and HOA. There'd been a few other jokes and comments in between there before that came up and all this. So anyhow, so now he's talked himself down to 7,000. I'm like, okay. And I say something smiley, like, you're fun. Haha. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. And we hammer out some more details.
Oh, Sarah, were you flirting on this deal, Sarah? Was there a flirting going on? All right. Just kidding. I'm kidding.
Just lots of smiley faces.
That's how Mike gets all his good deals. He's like emoji.
Well, once he said that, I was like, okay, I get it. I just need to be like sweet and remind you of some, I don't know what.
Sweeten from the South.
That's right. That's right. He's from New Jersey, actually. I figured out. I talked to him once. Anyhow. So then I have to mail him the contract, because he says I'm an idiot with computers and I can't do that. So I mail him the contract. I eventually get it back. We list it. 10 days before my contract runs out, I get a buyer. And then, no. Before I get a buyer.
Oh my, another twist.
The realtor, see, that's so crazy. The realtor gets a call from another investor saying, hey, I used to have this property under contract, but my contract's about to run out. What? So he's listed it with a realtor, and then before getting on with me, he had it with another investor, which I never knew about.
Oh, so my gosh.
Yeah, exactly. So the realtor I'm working with connects me to the other investor. Well, she turns out to be really nice and easy to work with. And she's like, actually, my contract just ran out. I had a buyer, but I couldn't get it done. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so it went from the realtor to the another investor.
What did she have it under contract for?
What's that?
Did you find out what she had under contract for? Did she have a better price?
7,000.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow!
Yeah. So, this guy's weird.
Magic number.
But anyhow, yeah. So he had it under contract with a realtor. He had it under contract with another investor. I still didn't have a buyer, and I thought I'm probably just going to walk away from this thing, and he's not going to remember who he even had it under contract with anyway, because he has no idea who he's talking to. So at least he won't be upset when I can't close. And then I got a buyer. So then, so then I try to rush close it. I tell my attorney, I decide to go through my attorney to buy it, because I know her rates are better, and I think she can get it done fast. I don't want to risk trying to double close this with my buyer's attorney, with a new attorney, because I had a feeling he might be difficult to work with. So I get my attorney to buy the deal, or to close on it for the buying, and then that's a rushed process because we've got 10 days to try to get it done. And he's still a little bit difficult to work with, and he tries to renegotiate again. And then we send him the documents. He can't do anything over the email. First he emailed it, but it takes a few days for him to figure out, no, you need to mail it or send it over to the UPS store near my house is what they agreed to. And he says, okay, and what's the amount on it again? And I tell him the amount, and he says, all right, you send the documents, and if you do 10,000, I'll sign them today. I'm getting multiple offers on this property now. Yeah, he said, I've gotten multiple offers for 10,000 now from other investors.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and that's when I reached out to the group. And now what I told him was, I just basically told him no, because my buyer is buying it for 10, and there's 500 in taxes anyway. Yeah. And I just said, look, I've done everything. I followed through on every commitment I made to you, like play this little guilt trip, even though I totally was going to walk away from this thing, right? He had no idea that I was not going to follow through. So I'm like, I followed through and everything. We've already renegotiated once. We're not doing it again. I'm ready to go. I've got the cash. You've got HOA fees. They're building up. They're going to continue to accrue. So you can risk somebody else trying to put this under contract and turn around and sell it, and it may not come through and get even more HOA fees, or you can take a check for this money by the end of this week.
The takeaway.
How do you want me to proceed?
How do you want your name to appear on this check that I'm about to write?
That's exactly right.
What is your bank wire information? Yeah.
Yeah, and I sent him that in the late afternoon, and I hadn't heard anything. And so by the morning, I was trying to figure out, how am I going to tell my buyer, who's a real estate broker, that my seller backed out? And I just don't want to look flaky to a buyer who's more of a professional. And that's when I reached out to the group, and we were kind of talking back and forth in our Facebook group when the guy texted me and said,
yeah,
I'll do this.
I think we were on one of our weekly accountability calls there on Friday, and he texted you. Was that the one, or that was a different deal?
No. Oh.
I think it was. We were on because you said, "Oh my gosh, guys, my buyer just texted me," or myself. It was your buyer just texted me.
That was in the messaging.
It was in the messaging. Okay.
In the morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, this is why the group has been so valuable, because when you have an unbelievably crazy deal like this. Wait, what I did tell you is before I got to this point that I also had the North Carolina Realty Board Board of Realtors investigate me over this property.
Oh my gosh. What ended up coming of that though? Nothing, right?
Nothing came of it at all. So there you go. Anybody who's new to this, don't worry about the Realtors Board. It's all fluff. Yeah. For the most part. Right. So let's see. He had it under contract with a realtor, another investor. I had to renegotiate after getting a contract. Then the Realtors Board called on me. Then nobody wanted to buy it. Then somebody wanted to buy it. Then he wanted to renegotiate right at the last minute. Then I pulled away and told him I was going to drop the deal. Then he came back and finally said he would sign the papers.
That's like Sarah was hanging on for life. She's like, I am going to get this one.
It was a mission at that point. I'm going to win this.
The funny thing was, they say don't get attached to a deal because by the time this thing's done, it's like what, $1,500? Like, I'm not that. Yeah. This isn't like I'm not dying here. This is It wasn't the whole time. I was like, well, this could happen or not. So I'll just have some fun with this. And I just kept saying like, nope, this is what I'll do. This is what I won't do. And then smile, like, do you want more HOA fees? Ha, smiley face. You're fun. Let's chit chat.
Yeah.
Fun. And get this stupid thing done. And yeah, so so he finally signed, and my lawyer sent. Oh, that's right. So my lawyer sent the documents to him at the UPS store. He signed everything, or he got there, and he sent me a text saying, "I didn't realize my wife had to do this too. She's in New York."
Oh wow, that part.
Yeah. So he signed whatever he had and sent it back. And then my lawyer's like, no, Meg, the wife still has to sign. Well, where are we going to send this? Like, do we need to send it up to New York? Is she coming back down? He is in Florida. Is she coming back down to Florida? What's the story? And I don't know what happened, but we made arrangements. And with another few days, his wife was back in Florida, or ex-wife, turns out. So then I got to hear the text messages, and I was like, "Oh wait, you're not married? Well, no wonder you were so friendly and dragging us down." Like, I was assuming you were like.
Hey, but Sarah, I bet you he called the other investor Hun too, because he didn't even know what was going on.
Yeah.
Oh God!
Like, that's why you're dragging out all these investors, man, because you're not married.
Oh man!
Oh my gosh!
No, Sarah, that was. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, because it's not over, right? Because then the wife signs, everything gets back. I buy the property. Now I have to sell it still, and so my seller's information is in at her attorney, and her attorney says something, like, okay, just send me over the HOA information so that I can see those are paid off, and then we're ready to go.
Oh God.
Yeah, so that's when I reach out to my attorney, or I forward that to my attorney.
But wait.
And then it seems like nothing's happening between the two attorneys.
There's more.
For like a day or so. And she's like, all right, yeah, our book ledger department is running behind. I'm trying to get the updates on that ledger. I'll get back to you. And that's dragging out. So I have to ask her again for that information. And then at some point she says, look, we didn't show any liens at all. There aren't any HOA liens. So there wasn't anything. So then I email the buyer's attorney and says, my attorney says that there's no liens. And I realized in all of this that I did not review the HUD in, very specific detail like I did. But this is the third deal I've done with this attorney. She's done a great job. And as crazy as it all was, then I'm thinking like, how much detail did I review the HUD with? And did I even look for HOA stuff in all of that? And so the long and the short of it is we realized that my attorney completely and totally missed the HOA fees. So the other attorney, so I had to get but the two attorneys weren't talking to each other. It's like they were talking another language. At some point she is saying there's no liens, and he's saying, will you send me the HOA ledger? And I don't even know what a HOA ledger is exactly, right? The attorney takes care of that stuff. I mean, like, what is the ledger? Why is he looking for that? And so then I do a 3-way email. I email them both, and I say, look, it seems like we're talking past each other. He's asking for an HOA ledger, and you're saying we didn't see any liens. What are the liens? If there's a mistake, we'll pay for it. And instead of telling her the liens, you're asking for the HOA ledger, so they were just talking past each other. So I tell them that, like, it seems like you're talking past each other, and this thing's been sitting here for a week and nothing's moved forward. What do we need to do? And then he finally sends an email from that the buyer, who's a broker, had reached out to the HOA person when she was first looking at the property, I guess. And he sends a screenshot, which says there's like $1,600 in liens, or in HOA fees. Yeah, there's like $1,600 in fees. And according to the HOA group, they had filed a lien on the property. And he said, but nothing was filed. So we realized that nothing ever got filed. There's no lien on the property. There's nothing in the county records about a lien, but the fees had not been paid off And obviously they have to get paid off because the buyer won't buy it until that gets settled up. So once all of that was clear, and it was clear, and then I went back over my HUD and I realized that in addition to there not being any mention about HOA liens, there should have been a proration for the HOA fees, right? Like, so the first 2 months of 2021 should have been on the seller, and the last 10 months would have been on my side of the HUD. And so there was nothing there altogether. So that's somewhere in the middle of all this talking back and forth. I realized like there's nothing about a HOA anywhere on this HUD at all. So they clearly just completely forgot it. Yeah. So anyhow, so we figure all that out. And then my attorney just says, yep, we messed up. We'll take care of it. How do you want us to take care of it? And so
I want cash. I want cash in a bag delivered to my door.
Do you want us to just pay it off? Do you want us to pay you? And so I called the buyer's attorney and said, this is what's going on. What's the fastest way to close? And he said, we'll just put everything on your side of the HUD so we can close it out and get your attorney to pay you. So that's what I said on Friday. And so my attorney said, okay, well, we'll wire the funds. So that's how you get paid for part of your deal before the deal closes. Exactly. That's what we were discussing on Friday.
There's a secret. There's this new secret. Yeah.
So yeah. So that's it. And so the HOA fees were a little bit over $2,000, and my profit was like $1,695 or something like that. So it was like the HOA, what they missed was more than my whole profit margin. So I got that amount, and then just today I overnighted the documents back to the buyer, and the closing is scheduled for Wednesday. So
my goodness. And it's still closing. Oh my gosh, it's still closing.
Yeah. It'll be closed on Wednesday.
I thought it actually closed completely on Friday or today. It was either,
that wouldn't be any fun,
that wouldn't be any fun.
We're gonna drag this out.
Oh my goodness.
So that's it. So if you're brand new to real estate, I hope you definitely don't get one of these on your first.
Well, I mean, this has been one of your, like you said, your worst deals. This is your worst deals.
Oh yeah, it's also my lowest profit margin deal.
Yeah,
honestly.
It's been
like all of my.
It is.
What's that?
That's
how it is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It can be like that. Yeah.
So I had one question about your attorney. Do you think it helped because you did have a working relationship with that attorney? Do you think that helped in them saying, yeah, we made a mistake, we're going to step up and make it right? Because I think you like that attorney. They do good work. It just seems like it was just a mistake on their part.
In fact, she mentioned that the person that handles the HOA stuff had recently been fired anyway, that they'd made some other mistakes.
There's your sign.
So this was another one that had propped up that, as she put it, we thought we'd handled all of the problem files, where she would like call the wrong HOA or something like whatever. She just screwed up. So I don't know how much stuff, but yes, I have a good relationship with them. I mean, they handled stuff very quickly and very affordably. And I don't know, maybe she likes me more than other people. I don't know. Cause she said at one point about getting all these calls. She's like, oh, not from you. I don't mind getting calls from you. I was like, well, that's nice considering how crazy this was. I mean, with the seller was insane. He was so hard to work with, and I had to go back and forth with her so many times. I mean, I made this poor paralegal work like crazy on this. It's a paralegal I work with, not actually the attorney, but she had to do so much hustling, and she was just on it with every. I mean, it just turned so many times. It should have been easy, but it ended up being really a pain. And then we were joking back and forth about how crazy he is. And I said, if I was up there, I'd buy you drinks. I think we need to go to happy hour. And, just joking about how we were both going to commiserate from dealing with this crazy seller. And then to find out when it was all done that, they'd messed up. And, no doubt the fees were significantly more than they were making on this transaction for their office. Is bad. But yeah, so to answer your question, I'm very glad that I had one, in general, a competent attorney. Like, I was very confident about their competence. They handled my other deals very well. And then I don't know if I have a better personal relationship in particular than anybody else. Maybe so. I did send her a thank you card with a Starbucks gift card actually out in the mail.
Oh, yeah.
That's nice.
Today.
Yeah.
And said, I don't know where you go for happy hour, but I hope this will make up for it. This will do. I'll just get her some Starbucks.
That's so true.
But yeah, because she does do really good work. And yeah. And I've had like 8 attorneys now between the 2 states that I've worked with. And I like this firm by far the best of everyone. They've been by far the fastest and the most affordable. So
that's great.
It's just a big weird fluke on their part, I think.
Yeah.
But, you gotta, I mean, they're like, it wasn't any question. They're like, look, if we messed up, we're taking care of the whole thing. No problem. So.
Yeah. Well, that was a great way for them just to like fix the problem that was created, and make it up to you. So that's really a good thing. Now that's like the worst case scenario, and not to get too deep on it, but someone who's listening to this is like, oh my gosh, this is the deal from hell. And I don't want to do real estate, but give them some perspective on the other side. Maybe you can share briefly, like maybe your most profitable deal or your easiest deal or something like that.
Well, my easiest deal was the first deal I ever did. Honestly, the first 2 deals, I got so lucky, really. Which is nice to get really lucky on your first deal when like a week later they say, we're shutting the entire economy down and you're wiping down your business. So like, I was like, wow, I got really lucky and then really unlucky. I was like, it was meant to be. I took that as a sign.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. But no, my first deal, I literally got a call off of a neighbor letter. So I had the property under contract. I sent letters to all like 10 other neighbors, like properties nearby. And I got a phone call from someone that said, hey, I just looked this up and I own the lot right next door. What are you selling it for? And I told him and he said, okay. I was like, boom, he goes, what's next? And I was like, I'll get you a contract. I'll get you a contract. I'm pretty sure I was emailing Mike like, oh my God, somebody's buying it. I'm freaking out. I'm trying to look like a professional. I'm trying to be all cool like, oh, yeah. We were going to sell it at full price with no problem whatsoever. Sure.
Yeah. Well, and the ironic thing, I believe, is that you are dubbed in the group as the HOA queen anyway. And the ironicness of having one that had HOA issues is kind of funny in one way and just ironic because you do well with HOA normally.
Yeah.
With HOA properties.
I have done well. I have closed quite a few HOA deals. So, yeah.
Awesome.
So that's it. So I would say if you're new and you're listening to this, I would say be encouraged. It's highly unlikely you're going to ever have anything that weird.
Well. Sarah, I'm gonna counter that because I'll tell you what, there's been times where I thought that was like the hardest deal I've ever done. And then all of a sudden, like 8 months, a year goes by, and then it's the next hardest deal I've ever done.
In land, have you had anything that weird? I mean, land is so much less complicated. Oh, you have? Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I take it back.
Absolutely. I think in any aspect of real estate, I just call it like, I compare it to the gym, right? It's you're going to work different muscles, right? So you may have your land muscle and your single family muscle and your commercial is a leg and then multifamily is another leg, right? They're all muscles. And then at the end of the day, when you go into the gym and you're just like, whatever exercise you're doing, there's always going to be that strain. And that's when you're, getting stronger and there's going to be a little bit of pain after a while. And that pain sometimes can be your hardest deal, but you have to push through it. You have to show up the next day and you have to continue. And I just don't think the business gets easier per se, because there are deals that you'll get more competent and you can know how to do deals better, right? So you'll structure. But I think what happens to real estate investors is they increase their challenge, their risk tolerance and their challenge factor. So they'll say, I've been doing all this style. Let me try something new, right? They like to expand, and that's when new challenges come up. I mean, that's what I think. Mike, what's your thoughts on that?
I agree. Yeah, the more you do this, the better your comfort level gets, and so you kind of are putting yourself out there or willing to take those challenges a little bit better than in the beginning.
Yeah, that's a great point. So Sarah,
I actually thought this one was pretty fun. I mean, it was aggravating, but in a lot of senses, it was fun. It was fun and challenging at the stuff that I enjoy and that I like the challenge and the growth in, which is the negotiating and the interacting with the people. And those are kind of challenges that I get kind of excited about. Like the next step, let's see what happens. Let's see if I could get him to do this. Let's see how I can get him to respond. And I was kind of playing around with how I phrase this text message or that text message. And okay, how do I keep my lawyer or paralegal, involved and engaged and on my side and empathetic to me so she doesn't get sick of me and sick of this deal and kind of, and it was just a lot of getting all these different people together in this thing to make all of it happen. And then the other investor who had, because then my attorney at one point, or the paralegal, called me to say, Sarah, I'm almost done with the closing, but there's a memorandum of contract on this file that the county. She's like, I can't close until we clear this up.
Oh my gosh. I didn't realize that was this deal, by the way. I forgot it was that.
This deal. Yes.
Oh,
so fortunately I was like, you know what? I think I know who did it. This is perseverance. You know what? This is trial and error at work too, is what it is. It's like, let's try it this way. Let's try it that way. Thank you. Fortunately, I said, I think I know who the investor is. And so I reached back out to her. And by that point, I'd established a good relationship with her. And she said, oh, yeah, and my contract's expired. That should be done. Let me clear that up for you. And she just took care of it right away. And she was really nice. So, yeah, it was like multiple. So anyhow, that was a fun challenge.
Well, I'm glad you see that fun, because on any next project that I have there stuck, I know who to call.
Yeah.
This is a job for Sarah.
It's true. Now, challenges that I do not find fun is organizing all this data, doing the comps. And those are challenges that are like, oh my gosh, I don't know. Those are the challenges that are hard for me. But like these people, they're challenging, but I kind of enjoy the human psychology of it and what's going to motivate this person to follow through for me and what's going to motivate that person to follow through for me. And so I am in a fun part right now where I'm building a team and getting the tasks delegated, and the technical aspects of delegating and communicating on the tasks is tedious, but the building the relationships and getting people excited about working with me and enjoying working with me is fun, and that's going well. So
awesome.
Anyhow.
Awesome. Good stuff. That was it was definitely good to hear that as a recap of your entire process of what happened, because there was so many, because you were closing, I think, different deals in between there. And I know I got some of that story mixed up because I thought it was like some parts of that story was to another
like other
deal.
Deals.
Yeah. So,
and it was so drawn out too. You're like, what, every week it's like, well, I've got that one still. I've got that one in closing.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I remember now that you're explaining this, I remember you were closing actually other deals as this one was still going through all these hurdles, Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Goodness. Oh, well.
Yeah, I posted after listening to it.
Well, that was some great stuff. And Sarah, the good thing is, out of all that, at the end of the day, you ended up learning, I'm sure, some great valuable lessons. I love what you shared about how you've discovered that you like more of like the psychology part, maybe the interactions with people. And I know from what you've been going through in regarding to scaling and building your business, you've learned to like delegate things that you don't like, that you don't fit with you, that you don't enjoy. And that's a really important part of the business. A lot of people don't. Some people would just continue to put their head down and continue to like trudge through it, but then they live a very stressful life, and you have to learn how to give up parts of your business in order to expand. Mike, any final thoughts?
First of all, thanks for coming on the show with us, Sarah. Always fun when you're around. And, one thing I will say about Sarah, and we've watched her, you're an awesome leader. And as you scale your team, you're leading your team, and that's exactly what you should be doing.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, that's
Thank
a very
you.
good point. Sarah, congratulations, seriously, from how far you've come. It's not always easy. But yeah, Mike's right. You're definitely a great leader, and your story inspires people. Just remember that. Everything you do. I know sometimes people think like, oh, well, I haven't done anything. I'm not as on this high level as this person or that person. But at the end of the day, sometimes just going through a challenge or even just getting started is a big challenge for someone. And your story inspires people. So thanks so much for sharing it today. And thanks so much for being here.
Having me. Thanks.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining in to another episode of the No Fear Investing Show. As you can see, Sarah is charging forward and crushing on more deals. And we'll see you next time. Have a great night.
All right.
Yeah.
See ya.